are going to be the map, the major academic plan, the personal information sheet, and then, like Frankie said, this is a great example of starting to put it all together. So we're going to do an activity where we're going to personalize maps with using the personal information sheets. And this will be for first-time freshmen. And so, yeah, so let's just go ahead and get started with that. Before we do that, today's socks are Harry Potter. Alright. Okay, so I briefly mentioned this last training. So this is what a map looks like. So we call it MAP. It stands for Major Academic Plan. It's based on the catalog year and the student's major. It includes all graduation requirements such as GE, major prep, upper division major courses, and all the requirements to graduate. It is a general suggested sequence of courses to take each semester. So this is each map is based on a student meeting all the prerequisites and not needing any English or math remediation. So it is general. If a student has AP credit, transfer coursework, or if they need math or English remediation, we have to personalize the map. For those majors that lead to a degree that requires foreign language competency, the map will always suggest that the student takes 3 semesters of a foreign language. But if the student has a background in language, a foreign language, like maybe from taking high school courses, that needs to be adjusted on the map. If a student, the map is not accounting for prerequisites. So if a student doesn't have the prerequisites, we need to personalize the map. So an example about the second language would be if a student has 3 years of high school Spanish, if they want to continue with Spanish, the 3 years they've taken meets the prereq for Spanish 201. So it would be okay just to take the 201, because that'll clear the language requirement, but we need to update that on the map. So first-time freshmen will personalize their map using information on their personal information sheet and their preliminary degree evaluation. So this session today is going to be largely what you'll be working on with first-time freshmen, personalizing that map based on their personal information sheet. Next week's session will be largely what you'll be working on with transfer students, which is understanding their degree evaluation. Transfer students get a map as well. We don't put as much focus on personalizing the map because most transfer students aren't going to find the map as useful as freshmen are. They more need to know how to use their degree evaluation, while freshmen need to understand how to personalize this map. So let's talk about personal information sheets. So on the back or attached to your PowerPoints, you each received 3 personal information sheets along with the map. We're going to be using those as our examples, so we're not quite there, but in case you can't see it up on the screen, you do have personal information sheets in front of you. So it is a document that's given to all freshmen at orientation. It is personalized to them. So it includes their required registration courses, such as the Golden 4 classes and remediation, if any is needed. And it tells them in which term the student must take each of these required classes. These courses have required registration because they're the foundational courses that prepare the student for other college courses. So they need the skills that they're going to learn in these college level English, math, public speaking for the remainder of their college career. The personal information sheet includes information such as the date the document was printed. This is important because any changes made after the printing of that document will not be reflected. So you may get students coming to you in a panic. Why does it say that I need this class and I submitted my AP paperwork, so you want to, or my AP score sheet rather, so you want to look at that date. It'll say their major, the college their major is in. It'll say if they paid their registration fees. If fees were paid that morning, it won't be reflected on this personal information sheet. If they haven't paid their fees, they won't be allowed to register. So that's something to kind of keep an eye out for. So this has a chart that's titled Your Required Course Status. So this outlines their required registration. So the GE courses, the composition, intermediate composition, math, and oral communication, those golden 4. The status may say completed, or it may say they need a remedial English or math course before their GE course. If so, it'll state that they must complete the developmental writing or the fundamental math course before enrolling in the required GE course. Or it could be an out-of-state student who still needs to take the ELM and or EPT. So it will state the status of their required registration courses. Okay. Did we talk about when the last day an out-of-state freshman can take the ELM, EPT? Did we talk about that? What's that? I'm going to confirm the dates, but what it is it's the weekend or the Thursday or Friday before move-in weekend. So it's either the move-in weekend, that Saturday, but last year they were able to do it a little earlier on the Thursday, but it was right on move-in weekend. That's the last date they can take it. Before we go into the final, I'm going to verify the date, because that is a question on the final. Okay. So, if we look at the required course sequence on this, so then we can see on this personal information sheet, this tells the student in which semester they must take these golden 4. So that's underneath. So we went over this part, and now we're looking at that chart underneath. So this is telling you what semester each of the golden 4 or remedial courses must be taken. So, I don't know if you can really see this, but can anyone see what the student's required to take for fall 17? It's really fuzzy, yeah.
Developmental writing course.
Perfect. And anything else?
Oh, sorry, and then oral communication.
Perfect, yeah. So you just follow, thank you. You just follow the line all the way across, and those are the courses the student must register for. Did I see, oh, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, me. So registration, the register for developmental writing course, that's RWS 100 basically? Is that what that course is? Or?
No. Developmental writing is going to be the RWS 92 or 94.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Below the 100 level.
Okay.
Yes.
So say a student hasn't paid their fees prior to orientation, can they pay them at orientation?
Yes.
And then where do we tell them to go with it?
There'll be somebody from the registrar department at orientation, but if they haven't done it up to that point, they can just go on their web portal.
Okay.
And just to, if I may add to that, we encourage them to do it 2 weeks before registration, because like you're probably getting to, they won't be able to register for classes, and we want to make sure that they're able to do that ahead of time. But if we have somebody at orientation and they let us know at check-in, we try to get them over there as soon as possible so they can get that taken care of.
Yes.
So the only time that we need the lower division courses like 92 or GMS 91 or things like that is if it says intermediate before the actual course. You kind of understand what I'm asking?
Yeah, if it says developmental writing course, that means so remember we talked about the ELM and EPT and the scores. So if your student scores low on the ELM and EPT, developmental writing means remedial English.
Okay.
So the RWS 92 or 94.
Okay.
And then in 92 or 94 are the same level, it's just one is for non-native speakers and one is for native speakers.
So when it says register for mathematics, quantitative reasoning course, that's not GMS.
That's a
90.
GE.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So that's not the.
Correct. If they needed, and you're going to see this on one of our examples, if they needed a intermediate algebra or lower, it's actually going to say remedial math. Yep, and I'll say which one. Yes.
So if we get an out-of-state student who's yet to take the EPT or ELM, will this information still be on their personal information?
It'll say that they need ELM or EPT. Yeah. That's a great question. Yes.
So because this student still needs an intermediate composition and critical thinking course, will they be required to take it their, third semester at state?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
they'll actually be required to take it?
Yes. The personal information sheet is only going to go out their first year. So if they, let's say they started with GMS 90 in the fall semester, so then it'll say GMS 90 for fall, GMS 91 for spring 18, and then their second technically their second year, they will be forced into their GE math. Yeah. Yes?
Is there ever a case where like a student doesn't take the ELM or UPT, and then like if so, what happens?
Yeah, we're gonna find that with our out-of-state students.
Like I mean like after, because there's like the last date that they can take it, but if they don't take it on that date, what happens?
Oh, like they haven't taken it in time? That's a case-by-case basis, yeah.
So it's like rare.
Yeah, if you're working with students that haven't taken the ELM, EPT, and they're from out of state, really your best bet at that point is to come grab one of the advisors so that we can kind of look at their individual case. So hopefully that's minimal. Does Frankie or Denise, do you have anything to add to that? Any other questions before we move on? Okay. If a student is already enrolled in courses, those are going to be listed at the bottom. So if you see courses next to summer 2017, that means the student is in what program? SAS program, exactly right. If you see that they're already enrolled in classes for fall 2017, that's part of the learning communities. We'll talk a little bit more about that later on. Is that what they're still called? Or are they called something else? Pathways? Student Success Pathways, thank you. Okay, so what if a required course box or status says completed? So let's say the student has AP credit in English or math, or they've completed the GE Golden 4 classes elsewhere, and we've received the transcript before the personal information sheet was printed. It will show the required course as completed, and it would not be listed in the required course sequence. So to recap, the personal information sheet is personalized to the student's needs for required registration and if they need English or math remediation. The map is a general guideline for each semester for any student and must be updated if requirements have been met, or if they need remediation, or if they have prerequisites they need to finish. Oh, no, all those handy arrows. Okay. So, like I mentioned before, the reason that we're going to spend some time personalizing maps for first-time freshmen is because at orientation, you will be helping new first-time freshmen to do this. Or at least you're going to be checking how they've personalized their map to make sure it makes sense. Last summer, during the presentation, we spent a lot of time teaching them how to do it, and I know that they then went to their leaders and said, okay, how do I do this again? So that's why we go over this with you. Okay, so things you want to look at when maybe they've already personalized it and you're looking at it or you're helping them. So you want to look at, is the first-time freshman in the appropriate courses for their first semester? Are they enrolled in anything they already have credit in from AP? Like I mentioned earlier, next week we'll go over how to understand a degree evaluation and using that document to help you personalize the map. But today we're just focusing on the personal information sheet and the map. So, some things that you need to take into consideration when personalizing the map includes reviewing the personal information sheet for remediation in math and English, Golden 4 courses that are already completed by AP credit or transfer course from community college or other university, and required registration and remediation in Golden 4. We personalize semesters on the map by removing requirements, so we line them out. We add requirements, possible remediation or maybe a prerequisite course. We move requirements to a different semester, like maybe they have too few or too many units in one semester. And then selecting courses to fulfill each requirement. So things you want to watch out for when you're personalizing a map is how many units the student is in, course prerequisites, and course restrictions. We're going to go ahead and take a 5-minute break. I'll have you back at 4 o'clock and then we'll get started with personalizing maps.